ecosystem we had in Orlando at the time, it was really devastating to know that you knew people or you could have been there or anything of that nature. And while I will say briefly, we have some incredible wins in our queer ecosystem. As somebody who is involved, we have a lot of things that we should still address, and we have a lot of accountability even after 10 years that we need to go ahead and not shy away from and make sure that ultimately we're able to meet that discomfort with compassion, so that way we can go ahead and have a fruitful ecosystem well after the fact.
That's beautifully said. Meet discomfort with compassion. I like that. Zafia.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. So I myself was a very young, I think I was like 23 at the time when it happened. And I just remember my first time ever going there, that it was such a pleasant experience, and to know that somewhere that I was just at the week prior, that something like that had happened. And at that time I was working as a hairstylist. I wasn't even working in the community like that. But from the aftermath and the effects that we've seen that have happened over the last 10 years, that is kind of what motivated me to want to get more involved in my community. I think that conversations like this are needed, for us to be able to address certain things, and to know, to also for whoever is watching, to know that they're not alone and that people are advocating for them, to want to make sure that they get the dignity and the help that they should have received 10 years ago.
Yes, thank you. Marnie.
I can recall the first time I went to Pulse, it was 2004. And I was there as a queer ally. And then to wake up that morning, as you pointed out, I was awoken from sleep to the news break-in. And our team at the Mental Health Association was on site very shortly after as part of the emergency response. Not just that morning, but also to the first responders and assisting with what then followed at Camping World Stadium as different resources were set up for weeks to come and even years to come. We became part of the One Orlando Alliance, community that was really committed and dedicated to the fact that the nature of trauma is that it's not just about the violence of that moment. It's about how it burrows and embeds itself into our memories, our bodies, our thoughts, and our communities. And as we come together now in this 10-year period, it's important to remember that we're still in a trauma mode. Even though the events of that horrible morning may have passed, we've heard many of the folks here today talk about some of the triggers they're still experiencing by sights, by sounds, by memories, by just looking at photographs, by people that were there. And it's important from a mental health perspective, as we approach this remembrance, to think about how our community not only responds during this time, but how we'll continue to move forward to create opportunities for healing and resilience. It's important to understand that resilience looks very different on different people.
We had this series of things that was happening that chronically stressed our community. And to this day, we have people who continue to kind of relive the trauma that they saw and they experienced, including those first responders.
For any of you, when is the moment that you really knew that Orlando would just never be the same after this happened?
I can tell you that from the first phone call that I received from one of my deputy sheriffs, who was a lieutenant at the scene, who had been able to see inside the crisis site, and what he described to me when during that early morning hour, I knew that this was going to be a major incident for our community. And once I got on scene, I encountered several law enforcement officers who were obviously holding down the perimeter to protect others from going in. One of them was an Orlando police sergeant who I knew. Went back to the time when I was the Orlando chief of police. I hired him. I was familiar with him. And he was not able to really function in his role at that time as a public safety officer. He was in crises because he had seen also inside the crisis site. And what he described to me with the number of casualties that were inside, I knew it was a major event. One that was going to get not just local, statewide, and national, but international news because of what we were dealing with. And so for me, it was early on. And I would remind you that we had responded, law enforcement had responded in the city of Orlando to a tragic murder of Christine Grimmett the day before, the night before. Then a couple of days after Pulse, we had a 2-year-old child that was attacked by an alligator at a theme park here. And so we had this series of things that was happening that chronically stressed our community. And to this day, you know, we have people who continue to kind of relive the trauma that they saw in their experience, including those first responders. I had some brand new deputy sheriffs that I swore in the Monday after the early Sunday morning. And by week's end, I had a couple of them who had not even hit the streets yet, who resigned because they were just that overwhelmed. They never really started their careers in law enforcement. So we made a commitment, we being the community, made that commitment that we will honor those innocent victims on that day, and we would never ever forget them. And while it was a tragedy reaped in a lot of anger and pain and just downright violence, we wouldn't let the hate overwhelm us, as Senator Smith said, that we said, no, love is gonna win over hate.
So it just seems like sort of an overall agenda that seems relatively hostile to us currently.
For every person in our community, regardless of who they love or their color of skin or their gender identity, they just want to have the ability to live a happy, healthy life.
after Pulse, so many of us felt so united and the community felt so loving. And then perhaps in years that followed, we've seen changes. And I know a lot of people express maybe they don't feel as safe and they don't feel that their rights are secure in the community. Would anybody like to speak to that? You two gentlemen mentioned that's one reason that you were here tonight, is that you do have concerns about your rights.
Yeah, just in the last several years, it feels as though our rights are, there's attempts or successful attempts to just curtail one right after another that affects the queer community, particularly the trans community. But every part of the queer community seems to be affected in one way or another, whether it's curtailing rights at the hospitals, whether it's the wasting taxpayer money on painting over crosswalks that at the same time is saying that we don't have money to fund any kind of celebration for queer people because it falls under the rubric of DEI somehow, as though that's some sort of a magic acronym that papers over any words they might have used previous to that. So it just seems like sort of an overall agenda that seems relatively hostile to us currently.
And I know this certainly impacts LGBTQ youth a lot as well. And, I don't know if you can speak to that with what you've dealt with, parental rights and education and some of those, situations that you hear from LGBTQ youth.
Yes, and uplifting the youth is definitely very difficult, especially with the administration. It makes it a lot harder to do our jobs. All we want to do is impact the youth and, uplift them and give them housing and drop-in services, as I was saying. But it definitely makes our job a lot harder. We just want the community to work with us, and it's really important to have allies and, community. It really helps us all, but it definitely has been difficult.
So what would you say to somebody watching this who says, hey, I want to be an ally to LGBTQ youth? How can I help? What is the best way to actually make action and progress to help our youth?
Honestly, the biggest thing I would say is education. Education empowers everyone, and it allows you to understand other communities. And intersectionality allows you to understand those around you that you may not understand. It even allows you to have empathy and putting yourself in other people's shoes. But I would say the biggest thing is education, because once you educate yourself, you can know where to start. And going to those community events, even if it's not in your community, but even volunteering just to learn more about the community, learning about the mission statements, even if you want to donate and help in a way that's farther away, not really direct, but you can also donate and volunteer. But those are the biggest things I would say.
Okay, and how can we donate or support Zebra?
Eh.
You like that question?
Yeah, great question. I would say going on the website and you can see our mission statement, but we definitely have an Amazon wish list where even all times of the year, especially in the summer, it's a lot hotter, but we have different items that we put at different times of the year to help the youth. It will help with furniture, bedding, even food during our drop-in services, but you can hop on our website.
Paige, I know you have some comments or questions from viewers for the panel.
Yeah, so from one of our viewers on our Channel 6 Click Orlando page, she wants to share, this is such an important conversation. Thank you so much for sharing. As an ally, what kind of conversations feel helpful and which ones don't? That's a question to the panel.
That's a great question.
I'll start off as an ally, because I think from ally to ally, we can have a conversation too. I think it's important, and this was mentioned already, to self-educate. I often get really frustrated when the expectation is on the community to educate us as allies. We can research, there's so many amazing writers and personal testimony that we can really just ensure that we are educating ourselves to combat the homophobia and transphobia that's around us. I feel like it's my responsibility, not even just as an ally, but as an accomplice, to be informed, to be prepared, and to help educate my peers on the misinformation they're being fed and how dangerous that is when it comes to building a big-hearted society where everyone has the same chance to thrive. So I do think, one, it's understanding the trans experience, understanding what it means to grow up LGBTQ+, understanding the suicide rates connected to lack of inclusivity. It's understanding how for every person in our community, regardless of who they love or their color of skin or their gender identity, they just want to have the ability to live a happy, healthy life. and there is no scarcity to human dignity. And we have to teach that to the next generation. And we also need to call out politicians in particular that don't understand that and that are weaponizing misinformation for another political agenda.
I think a lot of times the conversations that I have to have with people, it does get very exhausting having to explain my identity, why I'm, dressed like this, why am I doing this, what are my choices like, right? So I think that beyond, to kind of piggyback on what Dr. Escamani said was, also mentioning that you got to check your biases of the people that are around you, right? A lot of times, I've been approached by folks that are like they are the ally of their group essentially, but when they get around another group of friends, like they're completely silent. And that is a reality that, in many communities, as I'm sure you could relate in this moment, that there is, definitely folks that don't have honest conversations or just try to create more thoughtful conversations with their colleagues and folks that are around them.
I just wanted to point out, too, that when we talk about safety, it's not just our physical being, it's our psychological safety right now. And as much as has been noted here about some of the obvious ways that our physical safety is still in peril, I think our psychological safety right now is in more jeopardy as we are bombarded across multiple mediums with hate speech, with directions and reductions on obvious resources, particularly in mental health. I know with my friends here representing the state legislature, as well as Mayor Demings, have fought for a very long time for mental health services, particularly for uninsured. And we're seeing those literally ripped back away from the fabric of what was investments. And in some cases, communities, counties being penalized for the role that they stepped into in leadership, for advocating for psychological and physical safety for communities in peril, and having them almost be victimized, re-victimized again by the destruction of those resources no longer being made available. So as we advocate for how do we create psychologically safe space, resources for organizations like mine and Zebra and many, many others that do the work that is the yeoman's lift here in the community, because our government hasn't taken on those responsibilities or has left those responsibilities behind for others to pick up. I think it's important to note that our psychological safety is very much in peril.
Oh, absolutely. And I do want to give our elected officials a chance to respond to her comments regarding, the building and the code. If anybody would like to address that, Mayor.
Yeah, and that's kind of unfortunate that in that situation, some of the requirements were not in place. I think our community afterwards was more sensitized to it, and you really sometimes don't understand the possibilities of what can happen when you don't have the right security features in place. But in clubs, security is really everybody's responsibility. That's there. If you see something that doesn't look right, you got to say something to someone. That night, there was an off-duty Orlando police officer who was there working the club, but fortunately he was in a unmarked unit, and I think because of that, they didn't realize that he was really on site, and he was able to call for backup and respond almost immediately to what was happening. And as a result of that response, while it may not have been ideal, it was a fairly quick response that kept more people from dying. The person who obviously went there with an assault rifle, he intended to kill a significant more number of people, but was stopped in that process. But for those families, they lost their loved ones. For those who survived, who were in there, their lives are forever changed. And so our heart does go out to them, and it's very difficult to start blaming, the innocent people who were involved. But we learn from that. And I can tell you that I know, even though this incident was at that time in the city of Orlando, the city of Orlando has made some adjustments. while none of us are perfect, we should strive for perfection. When you have a tragedy, you should learn. There was a lot of study that was done from that incident that had been has allowed us to put some things in place today that makes it more difficult to accomplish what was. But it's still, in our country, we got a problem with guns, and we don't have the courage to deal with it. We have more guns that are out than any other civilized nation in the world, but yet we're not dealing with it. Why does someone even need an assault weapon in the first place in a civilian world? It is beyond me. So we do have to have some serious conversations about tightening up the gun laws, and we have to show some courage. And if we don't have people who are elected willing to do it, then we have to elect other people who are willing to do what needs to be done. And so otherwise this will repeat itself over and over again.
One of our contributors wants to say thank you so much for the people here today doing the tireless work day in and day out. This person recognized it's wonderful to see an array of leaders at the table. And then just to further the point that you guys have been bringing up is there needs to be emphasis placed on the fact that this impacted everyone in different ways, but further impacted LGBTQ plus folks of color, especially Latinx individuals, undocumented individuals, trans people of color, a lot of whom's only safe space was so easily hijacked, and went on to say a few other things and some questions there, but I just wanted to make sure that we got that in. And then the last thing that our digital side of things is going to leave you with is, what messages of hope do you have for the people of this community, and furthermore, youth of the next generation who are going to have to face the insecurities and safety concerns of identifying as an LGBTQ plus member of the community?
You know, what I have seen is that so many young people don't have any hate in their heart. And they've been leading by example. And I think that the way that we really establish and create more hope within our own community is it's through action. It's hope backed by community and a next generation, a young generation that is going to refuse to let hate win.
I love that.
I would say it's the stories we share that provide the hope. It's telling the stories of the lives lost, of the lives that continue to live on, and how they intersect, and how our community can grow through its resilience, which is a muscle, not a trait, by the way, that needs to be exercised. And we need to take it out like we take out our other muscles and make sure that it is safeguarded, but that it's exercised thoroughly. And so I think it's important that we come around opportunities like this, small tables and big, to tell the story and to keep the story going and to make sure that that memory lives.
Wonderful.
I'll add to that, rooms like this give me a lot of hope. I mean, you have folks who all different backgrounds and generations, lived experiences, coming together to just speak truth to power, to speak to your, from your heart to other people's hearts. Like, that big-hearted work is so critical to building inclusive community. And I'll add too that, you know, we have to find joy despite the heaviness around us. One of the themes I remember after the tragedy of Pulse was Orlando Keeps Dancing, and I think there's something so beautiful in that, and with the trauma that we're navigating, that we can still find those moments of comfort and joy with one another. Joy can be a very radical tool for long-term social change.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go. I would say for me, what gives me hope, yes, is the youth, but also folks waking up and finding their voice and realizing that there are opportunities to organize within your communities. You know, even just showing up to your local county commission meeting. I'm sure Mayor Demings is tired of my face because I'm there constantly to make sure that, you know, locally that, you know, everybody's aware of the issues that are going on in their backyard. You know, a lot of the things that we read in headlines aren't just a headline. They are literally happening in your district, in your county, in your state, you know. So I think that there's so many opportunities to create accountability. And so that's what I think of when I look at the future.
Wonderful.
What brings me hope, besides everything everyone mentioned, is centering voices that are not necessarily always palatable and always bureaucratic. I think queer folks are real people.
It's just progress that just gives you tremendous amounts of hope. So, I mean, we've been together for 28 years now. That wouldn't have been possible when I was a youth myself. So we see progress, and if you look at it through the long arc of history, it gives me a great amount of hope. As long as we keep doing all the efforts that everyone's spoken about to avoid the backsliding that is always looming. So.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I would like to thank Channel 6 for doing this and inviting all of us and everybody online too. I also think it's important that people know their history. That, you know, that so much has been forgotten about. I talked to LGBTQ youth and about the AIDS crisis and how many friends that we've lost, and they just think, you know, that that's something past. And we can see that with the threat of people's medication getting cut or their health care being cut, that it's important to know your history, to take a responsibility, maybe not go on social media so much and read about the history, because there's a long history with Orange County and City of Orlando that back in, you know, the early 90s that we really fought for equality way before Pulse, way before things that were happening, and because of leadership and because we were able to convince other leaders, and if they weren't convincible, we got new ones elected. And still to this day, you can see that reflecting so much in Orange County and City of Orlando. And I know it was mentioned about our bubble, but increasing the awareness, increasing the history, taking personal responsibility, showing up to the polls to vote, those are the things that really give me hope. And when I see youth being active or being awarded, and I was thinking, gosh, that's so hopeful to see that. And because you might not be able to be taught that in the school that you're in right now, take it upon your responsibility and teach your friends too.
Mayor, would you like to wrap us up?
Well, these are wonderful conversations. I think it's a great testament to the community that we live in, where we do value humanity. We are a compassionate, caring community. And across all the different diasporas that we have been able to come together. And the takeaway from this Pulse nightclub tragedy that we all experienced, it brought us closer together. I saw during the immediate aftermath where people who were of different religious beliefs, because it involved human beings, they learned from it and they grew stronger. We grew stronger as a community to accept people who might be a little different from us, but not convict them and say that they don't deserve to be cared for. They don't deserve the best that we can offer. And so we saw this community come together across the political lines during that season, ethnic, sexuality, because it was all about right. Okay, and we know right when we see it, even though sometimes people do their best to try to make right look wrong and wrong look right. But at the end of the day, we came together. We're still working on it. This is a work in progress for our community to where we have come up short. You should continue to have hope when we are able to have these types of conversations. We'll get there eventually. We'll get better than we are today. I'm confident, that this community, I've seen it do it over and over again. And sometimes it takes a tragedy to bind people together. And so while we don't ever want the Pulse nightclub incident to happen again, we did learn we're stronger, we're better because of it. And thank you again for hosting this. I'm honored to be here with all of these bright people. I learned something from all of you whenever we have the opportunity to dialogue.
Thank you all so much for taking time to be with us tonight. I know it's a big chunk of time and we're all busy. Thank you so much. I think this is really valuable and I hope you guys think so too. All right. And thank you so much to those of you at home for joining us tonight. We hope you continue the conversation online at clickorlando.com.
Ten years ago today, Central Florida was scarred forever when 49 of our own were ripped from us in the tragedy at the Pulse nightclub.
But in the memory of those 49 angels, it's never faded. And again today, we honor their memory and their loved ones who have dealt with a decade of loss.
Central Florida will never forget those lost, and there are new ways to preserve the memories in the works. News 6 at 4 starts now. Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 4.
Now, a lot has changed in Central Florida in the 10 years since the Pulse nightclub shooting, something we'll be talking about today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
Yeah, glad you're with us today. I'm Matt Austin. One thing that's remained constant is a dedication to those we lost on June 12th, 2016. Your Orlando community correspondent, Troy Campbell, is at the site of the former nightclub today, where many people are paying their respects.
And News 6 anchor Lisa Bell leads our team coverage tonight from First United Methodist Church in downtown Orlando, where the city of Orlando is inviting the community to the Pulse Day of Remembrance ceremony. Lisa.
Yeah, Matt and Ginger, this is an annual remembrance ceremony, and the doors are expected to open behind me at 5 o'clock tonight. The ceremony is expected to get underway at 5:30, and we definitely expect to see family members, survivors, and local leaders attending tonight. But this is open to anyone who wants to come here and remember the 49 lives lost. Now, we have video from previous ceremonies. This ceremony allows the community to come together every year on the evening of June 12th to honor and remember those 49 victims, the survivors, and everyone who's been impacted by the Pulse tragedy. The city says tonight will feature musical performances from local cultural artists, the Orlando Gay Chorus, and a special presentation by the City of Orlando's Poet Laureate. Yesterday, I spoke with Orlando City Commissioner Patty Sheehan about what else we can expect. For people in the community who are thinking about coming out, what can they expect? What will this ceremony be like?
It's a solemn yet beautiful ceremony, you know, and we're adding candle lighting, which I think makes it very, very special and brings everybody together. You know, I've always wanted to see something in Orlando where there were candles all the way around the lake. I just didn't want it to be for this.
Now, as this ceremony concludes tonight, I'm told the names of the 49 angels will be read and there will be the ringing of the 49 bells. Now, today has also been a day of action for people in Central Florida. A Pulse Day of Remembrance blood drive is happening right now outside Orlando City Hall. People showed up earlier this morning to donate. It's something we saw a lot of people do right after the shooting. In fact, more than 28,000 units of blood were donated in the immediate aftermath 10 years ago. People have also been stopping by the site of the former nightclub all day. News 6 Morning anchor Lauren Melendez was out at Pulse early this morning.
As the sun shines on brand new emotional tributes to the 49 lives lost 10 years ago today during the Pulse massacre, I want to make sure you know it was actually hours earlier, before the sun was even up, that we got to see the dedication and resilience of this community.
And it's been a long time, 10 years.
For the first time since 49 lives were stolen and thousands more were changed forever after the Pulse massacre, there is no building to cling to. And those who came to pay their respects Friday proved they don't necessarily need it.
Joy, security, freedom, exuberance.
As dozens gathered in early morning darkness, marking a decade since moments of joy and dancing turned into horrific destruction. A close friend of one of the Pulse victims says showing up without a building, without even daylight, honoring what the nightclub represented for Latino and LGBTQ+ communities is proof that nothing could diminish the meaning.
Mercedes, Marisol, Flores.
Around 2 Friday morning, a mix of family and friends and emotional supporters created their own memorial, holding up pictures, holding each other, and swapping memories that haven't faded in the 10 years that have passed.
The two that I knew were showmen, and they would have loved the honor and respect and the joy of people showing up for them because they showed up for other people.
That honor and respect carried into the morning as more people showed up to reflect and reinforce with colorful, chalked messages that while they may be waiting for a permanent memorial to replace the former Pulse nightclub, they aren't waiting to represent the people who spent their last moments here. And they hope others won't either.
And there's always more chalk.
Lauren Melendez, News 6.
And people continue to stop by there throughout the day. Your Orlando community correspondent Troy Campbell continues our live team coverage now from Pulse. Troy?
Well, Lisa, I can tell you I've been out here every year, and it is definitely much quieter. Actually, right now, we don't even see anyone walking around the Pulse site, but keeping it about the victims. As you can see right here, their names listed on the fence outside of the building. You can also see people had left some flowers here. This big change this year being the first year that the actual Pulse building isn't here during one of these remembrance ceremonies. So a lot has happened in the past year, so let's kind of recap a little bit. So this all goes back to last June, when in anticipation of the building being demolished, families of victims were allowed to go inside the building. Now, survivors and families told us at the time that that was an emotional step towards healing. Then in December, the city began removing artifacts and items from inside to be put in storage for safekeeping. Fast forward to February. That is when we saw the temporary construction fencing go up around the building, blocking most of the view from the site. Then, in the beginning of March, the iconic Pulse sign in front of the building was removed. Now, the new memorial design does utilize the sign in the front visitor entrance, so people will once again be able to see the sign once that's complete. Just a couple weeks after that, the actual demolition began. We watched crews take just hours to demolish the entire building. Now, we're just months away from actual construction, set to begin here on that permanent Pulse site. The city has set aside $12 million for it. Crews will break ground in September. The design includes a water wall, a reflecting pond in the exact location of the Pulse dance floor, and the names of all 49 victims. So again, this has been the site out here ever since, they put that up in February, this being the first year where people coming out here will pay their respects and have their moments to reflect without actually looking at an actual building. But again, many would argue good news is we're just a few months away from actually breaking ground on that long-awaited memorial that still hasn't broke ground as we hit this 10-year remembrance mark. Lisa, back to you.
Yeah, still a sacred site for sure, where a lot of people want to go and pay their respects, Troy. And now, as Troy mentioned, those artifacts that were removed from that site back in December, just a few days ago, I recently had the chance to go to the warehouse where they are being stored. The city wanting to share with the community how those artifacts are being stored. Now, one by one, crates were carefully packed and removed from the former nightclub. All the crates are packed with archival grade materials to preserve everything from inside Pulse. And in that warehouse, we saw that iconic sign as well as a chandelier, posters, and so much more that do plan to be incorporated into the permanent memorial. Now, back out here live, again, doors open tonight at 5 p.m. The ceremony is set to begin at 5:30. Again, everyone in the community is invited to attend this tonight. We will be streaming the ceremony live for you on clickorlando.com, and we'll have much more coverage throughout the evening here on News 6 and on clickorlando.com. For now, we do want to send it back to you, Matt and Ginger, in the studio.
Yeah, it is really one of those weekends, those days you always remember, and I'm glad that the community is taking the time to reflect and let those families know we all still care and think about them. Lisa Bell reporting live for us. Lisa, thank you. Now, for all of our coverage on the Pulse nightclub shooting and the 10 years since, head to clickorlando.com/Pulse.
Time to get a quick check-in, though, with meteorologist Jordan Patrick. Jordan, it is looking like folks are going to be seeing some showers tonight.
Yeah, we're already seeing more of those thunderstorms starting to build up, especially over towards Marion County, starting to push into Apopka as well. But just to the east, I should say, of Ocala, we're seeing some good downpours and some lightning out there. We actually do have a special weather statement with this cell right here, just to the northwest, northeast, I should say, of the Villages. That could be packing some winds of about 40 miles per hour. But we do have some good amounts of rainfall. That's just to the east of Pittman right now, right over Big Scrub into Lindale. But this is very very slowly pushing towards the west-southwest. So Pittman, Altoona, Umatilla towards Fort Mason, we'll start to see some of that stronger rainfall moving in within the next 30 minutes to an hour. Over towards Bay Ridge right now and into Apopka, we're still seeing some light to moderate showers. That's slowly building in, and like I mentioned, the flow is out of the west. So we'll continue to see that build into Winter Springs, into Castleberry, into the Goldenrod area over the next 45 minutes to an hour. And over towards University Park, this is the strongest shower that I've been tracking so far. About 6 lightning strikes within this very heavy rainfall over the 408 right now. That's continuing to push towards Bithlo. We'll continue to see these scattered showers and thunderstorms through about 8 to 9 o'clock this evening and then start to dry things out. We'll talk more about your weekend forecast in just a few.
All right, Jordan, thank you. Well, 2 young kids are in the hospital after a near drowning in Osceola County this morning. The Osceola County Sheriff's Office says they got a call from a VRBO rental property on Ruby Red Lane in Kissimmee. It was just after 11 a.m. They found 2 kids unresponsive in a pool. The 2 brothers were airlifted to Arnold Palmer Hospital. We don't have any word on their condition. Investigators say 4 adults went to the store to get some food. They left behind a 15-year-old to watch the kids when all of this happened. We're working to get an update on the little one's conditions. If anyone could face charges as well, we just got a crew on the scene. We're going to have updates for you throughout the evening.
The teen accused of plotting to kill another student at her high school was back in front of a judge today, this time on child porn charges. We told you Wednesday, detectives looking into 15-year-old Isabel Valdez's phone found sexual abuse videos of children, some as young as 3. Valdez faced a judge this afternoon who set bond at $35,000 for each of the 10 possession of child sex abuse material charges she's facing, for a total bond of $350,000. If she posts bond, she cannot go anywhere other children are and can't have any contact with any of the victims. We have more developing news ahead at 4:30.
Yeah, a new twist in the death of a Brevard County woman who was killed by dogs last month. What investigators found at a property connected to one of her loved ones.
But first, the markets just closed after a major day for SpaceX, and the wallets of a lot of Americans were looking at the fallout from the company's highly anticipated IPO. You're watching News 6 at 4. Here's a live look at our camera in Daytona Beach. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by True Deals Realty.
3, 2, 1, ignition. Engines full power and liftoff of Falcon 9. Go SpaceX, go Starlink. To all SpaceXers, new and old, let's see what's out there. Occupy Mars.
Another successful launch for SpaceX along the Space Coast. The company sent this Falcon 9 rocket into space just after 8:30 this morning. 29 more Starlink satellites were sent into low Earth orbit, growing SpaceX's Starlink constellation to nearly 10,500 satellites now. That was the second successful launch for SpaceX this morning, the other being the company's highly anticipated IPO.
Yeah, that shattered some records today, had major impacts on the markets. News 6 business analyst Donovan Myrie joins us now. Donovan, the markets closed about 15 minutes ago, so tell us what happened.
Well, Matt and Ginger, this is a trading day that is now officially in the history books. SpaceX has successfully executed the largest initial public offering in history. Here's where SpaceX's stock closed after 1 day of trading. Around 4 p.m., the close of regular trading, the stock was up almost 20% at a little over $161. You see where it is right there. It's $160, almost back to $161, up about 19%. So fairly consistent. They're doing okay. This morning, Elon Musk joined SpaceX President and COO Gwynne Shotwell in opening the NASDAQ. Musk was at Starbase in Texas, and Shotwell was at the NASDAQ in New York. Last night, the company raised over $75 billion in its IPO, selling off over 550 million shares to underwriters at $135 apiece. This morning, those shares were offered up to the public, starting just before noon and trading initially at $150 apiece. SpaceX shares peaked today at over $176 before settling down to what we just said at about $160 or so. And that's at the close of today's trading session. There's still some after-hours market trading going on. So, not everyone was a winner today. Though the NASDAQ was up slightly, other companies in the space business took a hit. Take a look. Rocket Lab was down almost 11%. Firefly Aerospace was down over 19%. The biggest loser of the day, Virgin Galactic, Sir Richard Branson's company. That stock was down almost 32% at the close of regular trading. And Matt and Ginger, there were reports of some users on platforms like Robinhood saying they had connection issues as they tried to buy SpaceX stock. The biggest complaints, however, seem to come from ordinary investors not receiving the full allocation of the shares that they requested.
We're just trying to figure out who's still buying Virgin Atlantic stock.
Oh, how did that have anything left in it, Donovan?
It doesn't anymore. No. All right, Donovan, thank you.
All right, time now to get a check of that weather forecast. Meteorologist Jordan Patrick is joining us. So we have some rain out there. Is this expected to pick up throughout our Friday evening?
Yeah, so we're expecting over the next couple hours a little bit more convection going, so a little bit more showers and thunderstorms as the sea breeze collide right just west of the I-4 corridor. That's where we're expecting it over the next couple hours. So, Matt, we will see a few more showers and thunderstorms developing till about 7 to 8 o'clock, and then I do think we'll start to dry things out after sunset. But right now, over Lindale, just to the west of Umatilla, we're seeing this good little thunder shower that's continuing to push towards Eustis and Tavares over the next 15 to 20 minutes as these storms are very slowly making their way towards the south and east. So we'll continue to see these showers pushing down towards Elwood into Apopka, seeing some heavy rainfall right now. That's pushing towards Altamont Springs, Winter Springs, down into Winter Park, and possibly even the Goldenrod area along Aloma Avenue. That's where we'll see some of those showers over the next hour. And over towards University Park and Bithlow starting to pick up on this thunder shower action. However, it is starting to die down a little bit. It's starting to rain itself out as these are very slow movers. So with that being said, a lot of them will start to just rain themselves out as they slowly push towards the southeast. But we will continue to see the chance for more of these showers and thunderstorms to continue to spark up along that series for the next couple of hours. Notice 6 o'clock, a few more starting to pop up near Leesburg. And then after sunset, we'll start to see those fading away as it loses the energy from the sun. And past, say, 10:30 tonight, we're just having some leftover clouds in our skies. We're on the dry side of things. So downtown Orlando right now, dry, but you can see towards the western horizon, we still have those looming clouds as those showers continue to build out towards the west. Temperatures into the low to mid 90s right now, 93 degrees as we stare out through our light Orlando delivering Hope Skycam. However, feeling like 100 degrees because of all the humidity we have there from the low level moisture from the showers that we saw. So Frogman, this is what we're all going to be doing after we stand outside for about 3 minutes. And I knew Ginger would love this photo because temperatures into the upper 80s through 7 o'clock this evening, but feeling like 100 degrees till about 6 to 7 o'clock until we get those showers going. Overnight tonight past 10 o'clock, the showers will fade. Temperatures remain into the mid 70s overnight tonight. But the change tomorrow is a southwesterly wind, so that's going to heat us up a little bit more and also pin those showers closer to the I-4 and I-95 corridor for your afternoon. Notice our in-house model pulling a mostly sunny but dry first half of your Saturday, but right around lunchtime, start to get some of those sea breeze showers developing along the I-4 corridor. These are by and large going to remain a little bit farther east than what we're seeing this afternoon. So you'll notice around 8 o'clock this evening, still some decent showers around central Florida, and even into the early evening hours around 10, 11 o'clock, still some lingering showers. It's not going to be till past midnight into early Sunday morning that we start to dry things out. So showers tomorrow, a little bit closer to the coastline, also lasting a little bit longer. Your Sunday is going to be a similar story. Notice these afternoon showers really favoring the places towards I-4 and I-95 for the second half of your Sunday. So rain chances at 60% tomorrow and Sunday, lingering about 40% into early next week. But Ginger and Matt, it's going to get even mugglier as temperatures rise to the mid 90s.
The mugglies are sticking. I like it. And I got to get closer eyes on Frogman. I don't know what I was looking at.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was. All right, thank you very much. Well, after the break, the major benchmark for a popular AI platform.
And the seasonal seller already gearing up for what may be their biggest year yet. A live look now at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Hey there, I'm News 6 anchor Amy Russo. A popular Halloween store is rolling out the Help Wanted sign, and ChatGPT is gaining popularity despite some AI warnings. We're going to get right over to Maribel Aber in today's Money Matters. So Maribel, you say they've just reached a milestone when it comes to subscribers.
It's a pretty big one, Amy. OpenAI's ChatGPT reached 1 billion monthly app users, according to data tracking firm Sensor Tower. The firm says ChatGPT is the fastest app ever to reach that milestone, surpassing the previous record set by Google Maps. Now, ChatGPT's lead could narrow quickly as competition intensifies. Rivals, including Anthropic's Claude and Meta AI, are seeing monthly user growth up to 900% year over year. And the growth comes despite ongoing public debate about AI's impact on jobs and personal data. You know, Amy, my colleague and I were just talking about her kid saying, there's no way you guys wrote term papers 10 pages long without something like AI. And I'm like, yeah, we did.
They don't even know. Everybody has ChatGPT now. It's the new thing, I guess. Well, all right, so fans of Fright, they may be looking for some work and they may be in luck as well.
Well, it's not even officially summer, Amy, but Spirit Halloween is going full speed on spooky season. The New Jersey-based chain is looking to hire around 52,000 temporary workers. And Spirit says it will operate a record-breaking 1,575 locations across the U.S. and Canada this year. Applications are available now at workforspirit.com. Sales associates can start as young as 16. Managers must be 21 or older. The company says it offers competitive pay along with a 30% employee discount store-wide. Many roles begin this month, and the flagship Halloween store in Eggtown Harbor Township, it opens August 1st. But Amy, seems a little early, but it's not too early for, you know what? Summer jobs for high schoolers. Fast math. A teen who invests $3,000 each summer for 3 summers and leaves it alone could have nearly $500,000 by retirement, assuming a 7% return. So just set it and forget it. Like, literally forget it.
Definitely a great way for some people to make some extra money for sure. All right, thanks so much, Maribel. Remember, to get the latest money and consumer news anytime, all you need to do, head to our website, clickorlando.com.
Well, a woman is facing a long list of charges after investigators say she nearly hit some kids with her car.
Yeah, who else she's accused of threatening on top of that?
I'm Catherine Silver in Seminole County, where leaders are making sure a key emergency response tool remains funded even if the state stops paying for it. We'll explain.
Hey, welcome back. We're following several top stories right now.
Starting with the continued coverage of events taking place to honor the victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting 10 years later.
Right now, the city of Orlando is pausing to remember the 49 lives lost, the survivors, and the families forever changed by the tragedy. Remembrance events are taking place across the city today, including a blood drive and the Pulse Day of Remembrance ceremony at First United Methodist Church in downtown Orlando. As the community honors the past, many are looking ahead to a permanent memorial.
Happening in Kissimmee, two brothers are now in the hospital after being found at the bottom of a pool. This happened at a vacation rental on Ruby Red Lane just after 11 this morning. Investigators say they found four adults left the property to get food, leaving a 15-year-old in charge of the kids. We're working to learn the boy's condition and whether any charges will be filed. The teen accused of plotting to kill a fellow high school student appeared before a judge today, this time for child porn charges. 15-year-old Isabel Valdez now charged with 10 counts of possessing child sex abuse materials. A judge set a bond at $350,000 and ordered that if released, she has no contact with the victims or other children.
Well, now to a sad update. After a woman was killed by dogs last month, Brevard County investigators say they were called to the home of the woman's boyfriend where they found multiple dead dogs. News 6's Alex Cook has what investigators think happened.
Investigators say they're still trying to figure out exactly how those dogs died. They were found here in this trailer, which belonged to Jody Cohen's boyfriend, Donnell Smith, who News 6 actually spoke to right in this very spot just a few weeks ago. Neighbors tell me the dogs in the trailer belonged to Smith and Cohen and stayed here after Cohen's death. She was killed in May after investigators say two different dogs attacked her on this street. Her neighbor Linda Cutler owned those dogs and now faces a manslaughter charge. A neighbor told me one of the dogs found dead in the trailer was actually the dog seen in this surveillance still from the night Cohen was attacked, where she appears to lift it to protect it from those attacking dogs. That neighbor said deputies were called after people smelled a strong odor coming from the trailer. The sheriff's office says it's still waiting for an examination of the dogs to determine how they died. I asked the sheriff's office if Smith now faces charges related to the death of those dogs and if they're actively looking for him. I'll have more information on that investigation and what neighbors have to say coming up a little later on News 6. For now, in Cocoa, Alex Cook, News 6.
Well, it came down to the wire for Seminole County, finding out at the last minute a critical hurricane life-saving resource will be paid for by the state.
Tallahassee had threatened to withhold funding, so emergency management is taking matters into its own hands. Your Seminole County community correspondent, Catherine Silver, explains.
It's a system you've probably never heard of, but it's critical when a storm hits to get you the help you need, and it's critical for emergency management teams who rely on it for their coordination. It's called Web EOC, and leaders here in Seminole County are taking steps to make sure it stays funded, even if the state stops paying for it. These are sights and sounds Floridians know all too well. Rain, rescues, and the resources that are critical in the aftermath.
Generators, critical infrastructure, security.
Stephen Lerner is the division manager for Seminole County's Office of Emergency Management. When a hurricane hits, Web EOC is the management platform they rely on to respond.
We can request resources in our system from all the agencies.
He explained to us how it works and who pays for it.
Historically, the state has paid for Web EOC through the state legislative appropriations.
If the state wasn't paying for Web EOC, what would the cost to Seminole County to make up for that?
The cost is roughly $80,000 per year.
This week, emergency manager Alan Harris asked county leaders to add that money into their own budget plans for next year, after they waited up until the final hour this year to learn whether or not the state would still be paying for Web EOC in their budget.
What was the decision-making tree on this? Was this legislated? Was this...
Yeah, this was part of the budget process when they went back to session to pass the budget.
When we spoke with Lerner inside the EOC Friday, we learned the state did include funding for every county in Florida.
Luckily, it was added in at the back of the bill this year, which is really challenging for us because it's such an essential system across the state of Florida.
He says it's so essential for the EOC, it's a price Seminole County is willing to pay no matter what.
We rely so heavily on this system for not just emergency operations, but day-to-day operations that we can't be without it.
In Seminole County, Catherine Silver, News 6.
All right, we just got an awful update from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office. The twin girls we were reporting on who were found unresponsive in a pool at a Kissimmee rental home, they have died. We're still working to learn some more details on this terrible story. We'll have an update for you coming up on News 6 at 5 o'clock.
A Brevard County woman is facing a number of charges after investigators say she tried to use kids as target practice. Cocoa police officers were called to an apartment building on Rosa L. Jones Drive, where a woman said she was watching 4 kids play in the street when a car swerved toward them. That person also said the driver yelled racial slurs at the kids, flipped them the bird, and referred to it as, quote, target practice. Officers spoke with Pamela Dresser, who said she made a wide turn to avoid something on the side of the road and drove past those kids. She also told officers she did say it was target practice, but it was just a joke. As officers were walking away to talk to the caller, they say Dresser said something about a special present she would deliver to the officers and even told them that was a threat. Dresser faced a judge today, or Tuesday, I should say, on 4 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill, child abuse without bodily harm, and 2 counts of threatening a public servant. The judge set her bond at $250,000. As of right now, she is still in jail. Something similar happened in Seminole County. Winter Springs police officers were called to a home at Las Almas Lane, where a man said someone tried to run him over with a golf cart. The caller said he got into an argument with Bruce Gittleman when he got into his golf cart and tried to hit him. Gittleman said he only drove a little too close to the caller during the fight and never intended to hit him. But an eyewitness confirmed the caller's version of the story, and Gittleman's was arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill.
Well, the state is taking some new measures to clamp down on chaotic scenes like this one here. So-called teen takeovers have popped up across the state to start the summer, including at Icon Park and a community event hosted by an Orange County commissioner. State Attorney General James Uthmeyer unveiled a new plan to stop these takeovers. Local law enforcement agencies will remain in charge of field operations, which includes interviewing witnesses, executing search warrants, and making arrests. The Office of Statewide Prosecution will step in as a support force, which can issue subpoenas, offer legal advice to help the local departments in their investigations, and will handle prosecution of organized criminal activity, or they can refer cases to local prosecutors to make sure no offenders slip through the cracks.
It's become pretty evident that, this isn't just coincidental, a bunch of people that happen to be hanging out in the sidewalk. No, this is a coordinated, it's a larger network operation that appears to be funded likely by some out-of-state operatives. We see use of technology, social media to generate these invitations, these dates for people to gather. I don't believe it's just happenstance.
The Attorney General says they've already stopped a bunch of these takeovers before they could happen, and they will likely shut down more during the rest of the summer.
The U.S. and Iran are working through the final details of a memorandum of understanding to end the war. CBS correspondent Taureen Small is at the White House, where administration officials say their optimism is growing.
Both the U.S. and Iran now say they are closer to a deal to end the fighting than they've ever been. Thursday, President Trump was eager to get it over the finish line.
They've all approved the deal. Everybody's approved the deal. Now we'll get it finished up, and hopefully that'll be done.
A senior Trump administration official says the outlines of the agreement would reopen the Strait of Hormuz and lift the U.S. naval blockade. Iran would also agree to dismantle its nuclear program, and the U.S. would get Iran's enriched uranium.
It should get done over the next few days. We'll probably have a signing maybe in Europe.
Iran would receive financial rewards for complying with the terms of the deal. Iran's foreign minister said Friday that the memorandum of understanding has never been closer and urged against speculation. A senior administration official tells CBS News their optimism an agreement will be signed is not yet at 100%, but has risen throughout the day.
It seems like the folks in the region now are saying similar things, so I think it's more likely that there could be something coming out of this, but at this point it's really too soon to tell.
Once the memorandum is signed, it starts a 60-day clock for both sides to finalize the details of how Iran can comply with the nuclear program.
A winning deal would include the complete dismantlement, again, of that complete so-called supply chain that feeds the nuclear process.
Iran is also supposed to end its funding of terrorist groups in the Middle East, such as Hezbollah. Israel launched new airstrikes against Hezbollah targets in Lebanon Friday. Torian Small, CBS News, the White House.
Well, some major changes are coming to high school sports across the state. Florida High School Athletic Association approved a new playoff format. It's known as the Open Division. It'll impact football and 10 other sports beginning this coming school year. Under the new system, the top 8 teams in the state, regardless of school size or classification, will be put into a single playoff bracket. For football, it'll go by statewide rankings at the end of the regular season. For all other sports, district tournaments will determine the top teams. Right now, teams compete in their respective classifications, which are separated by enrollment. State officials say the move is designed to improve the competitive balance and create more compelling matchups earlier in the postseason. A construction concern is once again springing up in an Orange County neighborhood.
After the break, the final fix one neighbor wants, so this doesn't keep happening. Jordan.
Well, Ginger, we're tracking more scattered showers and thunderstorms across central Florida this afternoon, especially towards Apopka this evening. But rain chances are on the up and up for this weekend, favoring the East Coast. We'll talk about your forecast hour by hour for the upcoming weekend after the break.
And a reminder, there's more to watch on News 6 Plus. Get caught up on Central Florida's news and weather at 9 o'clock every night, or go on patrol with Trooper Steve. Get clear on Florida politics from Politically Motivated and celebrate the best of Central Florida with the News 6 Insiders. You can watch it all right now. Just get the News 6 Plus app loaded onto your smart TV. You can download our streaming app. It's free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Original Mattress Factory.
Well, a broken pipe and a flooded street from last month became a problem once again in Orlando's College Park neighborhood.
Both breaks have been linked to contractors installing fiber optic cable, even though that work wrapped up 2 weeks ago. Your Orange County community correspondent Jarrell Baker spoke with a homeowner about his frustrations and got some answers.
For the second time in nearly 2 weeks, a homeowner as well as another neighbor here in Orlando's College Park neighborhood are without water after a pipe burst. Now, this comes after fiber optic cables were installed here on their street just a month ago. I'm News 6's Jarrell Baker.
It's becoming a nuisance, not just for me, for my neighbors.
For Scott Veronic, he thought his worries were over. For the second time in 2 weeks, the Orlando Utilities Commission, or OUC, crews dug up his yard to repair a water line break.
Well, one, I had to get a good laugh out of it, but I think for me what's frustrating is just the cleanup that's going to have to occur.
OUC confirmed that the subcontractors hit the water line twice while installing fiber optic cables for AT&T in their neighborhood in May. However, officials say they didn't notice the leak while fixing the first break in May because it was a pinhole leak, too small to detect at the time.
It's unfair to these guys, but it's a cycle that just continues and it never ends.
The company sent News 6 a statement apologizing to residents for the first water line damage in May.
See the orange conduit sticking up?
But now Veronic wants the telecommunication company to take accountability again.
Hopefully they can re-beautify my yard at the very least. And then I don't know, I just don't think the transparency has been there.
I sent OC News conclusion to AT&T. They sent us a statement once again apologizing for this water line break. In Orange County, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
All right, well, we need water, just not that kind. We need some rain.
It from the sky,
yeah, exactly. Right? Meteorologist Jordan Patrick joins us now. It looks like we're getting some stuff because the radar has some green on it.
Yeah, we definitely are. We're getting some reds on the radar this afternoon as well. And this will pick up over the next hour or so and then start to fade just after sunset. But especially over towards eastern Marion County, over towards Umatilla, just to the north of Eustis. Still watching this decaying shower. It's very slowly drifting to the south and east, Umatilla and Eustis, even maybe Tavares as well, getting in on some of this action over the next 15 to 20 minutes as it continues to die out. But here's a shower that I've really been watching over the last half hour from Bay Ridge over towards Apopka. Notice 11 lightning strikes within this system. This is continuing to push towards Ethel, over towards I-4 from Lake Mary down towards Maitland and Winter Park. They'll start to see some of that rainfall picking up over the next 25 minutes to half an hour. And over towards University and Park and Bithlow, this shower has pretty much dissipated at this point. So we're continuing to see some drier conditions out there, just some light rainfall over towards Canaveral Acres as well into Port St. John. But that's pretty much it for right now. Our in-house model is showing that we could still see some more development of some showers till about 6, 7 o'clock this evening. Note especially towards Leesburg over into the Villages. Then we'll start to dry things out once the sun starts to set. Notice these showers really start to fade. And by about 9:30, 10 o'clock this evening, we're done with the showers for the evening. Overnight, we're on the dry side of things, and we'll just continue to see some clouds in our skies. But over towards the beaches, very dry this afternoon. Notice plenty of sunshine towards Port Canaveral through our Launch Credit Union camera, but looking westward, that's where we see the buildup of those showers and thunderstorms. Right now at the beaches, 87 degrees, but it's feeling warmer than that because of that onshore breeze, keeping us very humid. Now, I know Ginger was saying earlier that it looked like Frogman was plotting something. Now, Audrey definitely plotting something this evening. Temperatures into the upper 80s. I don't think she's happy that it's rainy outside. I don't think so. Temperatures into the mid 80s through this early parts of this evening around 7, 8 o'clock. Overnight, thanks to a southwest wind keeping us on the warm and humid side. Mid to upper 70s is pretty much the best that we're going to be doing. But for your Saturday morning, we are on the dry side of things, so any morning errands should be a-okay. But pushing towards lunchtime with a southwesterly wind, that's the difference tomorrow. We're going to get those showers and thunderstorms favoring a little bit farther eastward tomorrow. So between I-4 and I-95, that's going to be the best chance to see those showers early afternoon. And we continue to see them dancing around the I-4 corridor into the second half of the afternoon. Do think late in the day into the early evening, we get the boundary collision between the east and west coast sea breeze. And that's where we'll see some lingering showers later into your Saturday night. So if you have any evening plans around town on Saturday night, you're going to need to have the umbrella on the backside of your cars. We'll have some lingering showers tomorrow night later than usual. We keep those rain chances at about 60% for Saturday and Sunday, Ginger, and we get even hotter pushing pushing into next week. We're talking mid-90s. Feels like temperatures over 100 degrees. And I know a lot of kiddos are at summer camp now, Ginger. Be sure to pack the big water bottle with them.
Yeah, hydrate as much as you can. Jordan, great advice. Thank you. All right, we say it all the time. So many people move to Central Florida every single week. After the break, how long you have until you need to make that move official for your car.
Plus, the retired service member making a long journey for a very good cause.
Coming up on Monday, Florida's World Cup games officially kick off. What's being done to keep the thousands of fans safe?
And storm chances are still in the forecast to start off the new week. Candace will have your forecast every 10 minutes.
We'll see you Monday morning for News 6 starting at 5.
One of the biggest questions I get is, Trooper Steve, how long can I keep my out-of-state license and tags? All right, all my new Florida friends, welcome to the Sunshine State. We have got beaches, those theme parks, and humidity that you can actually fight with, and plenty of paperwork. So once you've established residency here, meaning you start working here, register to vote, or otherwise officially call Florida home, well, that clock starts ticking. You have 10 days to get your vehicle registered or insured right here in Florida, and 30 days to switch over that driver's license. And before somebody says, oh, well, I've been here 6 months and nobody said anything, well, that's not exactly how this works. Don't wait until you're sitting on the shoulder trying to explain that to the trooper that you've just been trying to get around to it. Welcome to Florida. We want you here. We just want your paperwork here also. Drive safely. If you've got a traffic safety question, you want me to answer it, head on over to clickorlando.com/AskTrooperSteve.
A retired service member didn't have to worry about his car for a trip up the east coast of the country, though. Manson Brown began pedaling from Key West in February. Yesterday, he reached Bar Harbor, Maine, about 50 miles from the Canadian border. The former Coast Guard admiral raised $23,000 for his nonprofit Coast Guard Mutual Assistance, which gives financial help to Coast Guard members and their families. He said he got to see the best of what this country has to offer over those 2,100 miles.
Made water stops in small towns throughout America and was engaged by people that would just say, hey, where are you going? What are you doing? And we would have a conversation, and I was just so struck by their engagement and their kindness and their support.
Oh, I love that for him. This wasn't the first time he's done something like this either. Back in 2017, he biked nearly 4,000 miles from Oregon to Virginia.
Now, what do you take, I-95?
He takes whatever he wants to.
Dicey.
Oh my gosh, congratulations to him though. Much more ahead on News 6 at 5.
So we have team coverage of Orlando marking 10 years since the Pulse nightclub massacre. The city's tribute to the victims is coming up. We're going to take you there live.
And breaking right now, we're following new developments on a tragic story coming out of Osceola County this afternoon. Twin girls found unresponsive at the bottom of a pool. We're live with what the sheriff's office says happened. Your forecast is just minutes away as well. Don't forget, you can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras like the one you see right here at Daytona Beach for free anytime on News 6 Plus.
Now at 5, today marks 10 years since the Pulse nightclub shooting, a night that shook Orlando and changed dozens of lives forever. We're hearing from survivors who say the pain never fully fades, but neither does the memory of those they lost.
Holes that are on the side of the Pulse nightclub there, that's where we escaped at the end of the night.
For many, today is about remembering and honoring the 49 victims who never made it home.
It was an act of hate, but we can respond to acts of hate with love.
We're following tributes across the community and what healing looks like a decade later. You're watching News 6 at 5. Some breaking news off the top here at 5. Twin girls now dead after a drowning in Osceola County.
Such an awful story. The sheriff's office says they were just 5 years old. Deputies say the girls were found unresponsive in a backyard pool at a vacation rental in Kissimmee off Ruby Red Lane, just hours after the family arrived there for vacation. News 6's Tylisa Hampton joins us live from that scene now. Tylisa, what are deputies saying happened here?
It is just an awful update. In the last 30 minutes, we know these twin girls, they were only 5 years old. We know this family, they were traveling from Atlanta, Georgia to Osceola County for vacation. And then in less than 12 hours of this family being here, this vacation, it quickly turned into a nightmare as these twin girls, they were found in this pool, unresponsive, not moving at this rental home. Now, the sheriff's office says that the twins were discovered just after 11 a.m. off Poinciana Boulevard and were flown to Arnold Palmer Hospital. Investigators say 2 families were staying at this rental home last night. The sheriff's office says everyone got in the pool, but they all also got out together. However, the next morning, detectives say the adults went to go get food. That is when the twins were found at the bottom of the pool, not moving, by some other older teens also at the home. We know the sheriff's office, they're still trying to piece together this timeline from when the adults left to also when the twins were found in the pool and how long they were in it. But that's not all they're looking into.
There was a pool fence that surrounded the pool. We're investigating whether or not that pool fence was latched at the time of this incident.
Now, the sheriff's office says they are still working to determine the cause of death, and homicide detectives, they are investigating this drowning. And here's also one of the most important parts of this entire story for you and your family at home, that the sheriff's office says around this time, they do see more of these drownings, especially from families out of state traveling here, have a pool at a rental home. They say it's important to take those extra steps, make sure there's layers around that pool, not just the fence, but even the tiniest details like the latch, a life jacket. And it's a saying that I know so many parents have heard so many times. All it takes is a moment for you to take your eyes off a child for tragedy to occur. We'll make sure to stay updated and we'll update you at home as the story develops. Reporting for News 6, I'm Tylisa Hampton in Osceola County.
Yeah, Tylisa, unfortunately, we do these stories every single year. Yeah. Thank you. Well, today, the city of Orlando is inviting the community to the Pulse Day of Remembrance ceremony.
It all gets underway tonight at 5:30 at First United Methodist Church. That's in downtown Orlando. News 6 anchor Lisa Bell is there. Lisa.
Yeah, Matt and Ginger, this ceremony is expected to get away in less than 30 minutes now. The doors just opened here at First United Methodist Church, and this courtyard was full of family members, survivors, local leaders, and just supporters who wanted to come here and show their support and remember the 49 lives lost. We do have video ceremonies. The Remembrance ceremony allows the community to come together every year on the evening of June 12th to honor and remember those 49 victims, the survivors, and really everyone who's been impacted by this horrible tragedy. The city says tonight's ceremony will feature musical performances from local cultural artists, the Orlando Gay Chorus, and a special presentation by the City of Orlando's Poet Laureate. Now, back out here live, I'm told at the end of this ceremony, for the first time, there will also be a candlelight ceremony with the reading of the 49 angels' names and the ringing of 49 bells. Now, all day, people have been stopping by the site of the former Pulse nightclub to pay their respects at that sacred location. My colleague Troy Campbell has been there this afternoon talking with many of those people who have stopped by to pay their respects. He continues our live team coverage from Pulse. Troy?
It's definitely an emotional scene out here as we mark that 10-year remembrance. If we take a quick look at the temporary fencing up here, you can see the list of the 49 victims, and then also some flowers that people have left behind. Again, this being that temporary fence, this being the first year that we mark without actually having the Pulse building being here. And of course, a lot has happened this year. So let's kind of take a look back. It goes all the way back to last June. That's when, in anticipation of demolition, is when the city let families come in and take tours inside the building. Now, survivors and families told us that at the time it was an emotional step towards healing. Then in December, the city began removing artifacts and items from inside to be put in storage and for safekeeping. Fast forward to February. That's when we saw the temporary construction fencing go up around the building, blocking most of the view from the site. Then, big month of March. In the beginning of March, we saw the iconic Pulse sign in front of the building be officially removed. Then the new memorial does utilize that sign to be used in the front visitor entrance. So once that's completed, we will see that Pulse sign once again. And then just a couple weeks after that, the demolition began. We watched as crews took just hours to demolish the building. We're now just a few months away from when the construction is set to begin on the permanent Pulse Memorial site. The city has set aside $12 million for it. Crews will officially break ground in September. The design includes a water wall, a reflecting pond in the exact location of the Pulse dance floor, and the names of all 49 victims. Moments ago, we spoke with a woman out here who says it's really important to come out. Take a listen.
We don't want to forget about, the people that passed as a result of this tragedy, as I mentioned earlier. It's about keeping their memory alive and their spirit alive, and also giving solace to the families and the friends that were directly affected.
And again, we are going to stay out here and continue to talk to people who are making their way out to pay their respects to this site. And we'll continue to bring you more reaction at 6 o'clock. Back to you, Lisa.
All right, Troy, thank you. Today has also been a day of action for a lot of people. Earlier today, outside City Hall in downtown Orlando, there was a blood drive. And I was at City Hall yesterday when city officials unveiled a new art exhibit that is now on display called Created in Community: Portraits of Pulse.
Did you always sign your artwork with a heart?
No,
Why'd you decide to do that on this piece?
because this is what I do. And when I'm talking about this, I want people to remember that it's about love.
Orlando City Commissioner Patty Sheehan describing the portrait she painted of one of the 49 Pulse victims.
It was an act of hate, but we can respond to acts of hate with love.
City officials unveiling the Created in Community: Portraits of Pulse art exhibition at Orlando City Hall.
These portraits represent more than artwork. They represent lives, families, friendships, and our community's commitment to remembering each individual.
Each portrait was also painted by family members, friends, and community volunteers, including Jeff Songson. We interviewed him back in 2018. The well-known artist behind Paint the Trail, the mile-long stretch along the Seminole Wekiva Trail near Longwood. He created each portrait in a paint-by-numbers way so non-artists could finish them.
Here's one that was, I think is special.
Artist Colleen Ardeman then helped locate all the surviving loved ones to bring these works to life.
What was it like for you to meet some of these family members?
Oh, heart-wrenching and beautiful. The most special jewel that they said was, Colleen, so many things were done for us, gifts were given to us, but I did not get to say goodbye to my loved one. And by painting for 5 hours, slowly, only at the end would they actually then see their loved one, their son, their daughter, and they would cry.
And we want to take you back out live here at First United Methodist Church, where family members, supporters, and loved ones have now made their way inside the church. And I can tell you, I just saw Colleen walking inside the church as well. School Board Chair Teresa Jacobs making her way in. We're seeing lots of members of law enforcement also making their way inside the church. That art exhibit, by the way, will be on display at City Hall through August 23rd. Tonight's remembrance ceremony is expected to begin in about 20 minutes at 5:30 tonight. And we will be streaming it all for you on clickorlando.com. We'll also continue to have coverage for you throughout the evening. For now, though, we do want to send it back into you guys in the studio.
All right, Lisa, thank you for that. For all of our coverage on the Pulse nightclub shooting and the 10 years since, head to clickorlando.com/pulse.
Okay, let's turn now to your weather. We are beginning to settle into those daily sea breeze storms.
Yeah, and that trend continues tonight, and we understand through the weekend. Here's meteorologist Jonathan Gegas.
Yeah, we're seeing some of the bigger ones now get going. The east and west coast sea breeze coming together right about I-4, and you see that green box popping up across parts of northwest Orange County through Apopka into Zellwood, Tangerine, and parts of southern Lake County, at least the eastern side of southern Lake County, parts of Sorrento. We're watching this very heavy thunderstorm. Again, a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rain. That is a flood advisory. Several inches of rain have already fallen in this area, a couple inches more. As we were talking about, the steering flow with these storms remains very, very slow, so these do not move much. So we'll be watching for the potential for some ponding on the roadways northwest of Altamont Springs, again, especially into Apopka, maybe on the north side of Ocoee as well. We're watching extra thunderstorms try to get going into southwest Orange County, closer to the attractions and west of Dr. Phillips, and then also closer to Poinciana tonight. We'll talk about where these storms are going, what this means for the rest of your evening, and of course, your weekend ahead coming up at about 5:17, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. A 15-year-old already jailed in an alleged plot to kill a classmate was back in court this afternoon, this time facing some new serious charges. Investigators say they found child sexual abuse material on her phone, including videos involving very young kids. News 6's Darrell Baker is in Seminole County with what happened in court.
15-year-old Isabel Valdez making her first appearance via online video Friday at Seminole County Jail, facing new serious charges.
The state has charged you by information with 10 separate criminal counts.
10 counts of possession of child sexual abuse material. A judge also setting her bond at $35,000 for each count. It comes after FDLE agents say they found a digital file on Valdez's cell phone earlier this year with several videos showing the sexual abuse of children, including some as young as 3 years old. Now, Valdez already behind bars, accused of plotting with co-defendant Lois Lippert to stab a classmate in the bathroom at Lake Brantley High School.
Were you trying to look good for your mugshot?
Minutes after their arrest, a patrol car video caught both girls laughing together.
Am I gonna get a mugshot? Well, we're going to jail. What do you think? Yeah.
Now Valdez's tone has changed, at least on paper. In a letter sent to the judge and filed last month with the Seminole County Clerk of Court, she writes, "I'm very remorseful for my actions."
No contact with any individuals under the age of 18.
A judge Friday also forbidding Valdez from accessing the internet or going to school, parks, or anywhere where children may be. In Seminole County, Darrell Baker, News 6.
Well, a battle over AI is brewing in Nashville, and it's a conversation Central Florida leaders are already having.
Yeah, well, some are worried about the cost of powering the future. That's coming up first, though.
I'm Molly Reed in Volusia County, where we are seeing a record number of turtle nests being laid this year. We're going to the experts to find out why they think we're seeing such crazy numbers. I'm Molly Reed, your Volusia County community correspondent. This year, we are seeing a record number of turtle nests being laid here in Volusia County. This year, the turtles are blowing their old record out of the water. That last record was set